Okay, so we've got our doors kind of set up at the minute. Different variations. Some are in the level blueprint. Some now are as blueprint actors. So what I want to run through now is just a real basic piece of interface. So all we're going to do is kind of build on the stuff that you've done with Ant in the previous lectures, and we're going to look at adding a little bit of an on-screen prompt that tells the player that we want them to do something. I just realized I've got a Simpsons reference on this, and I feel quite dated already, so I'm going to just jump into Unreal as quick as I can. So I've deleted some stuff and I've just left the main one here, which we kind of had just in our level blueprint. But I'm going to try and set this up in a way that it can be easily used in all our different versions. So one of the things that we need, first of all, is we need UI elements. We need a widget that we're going to use and we're going to call. So here we're going to right click, go hover over user interface, and we're going to go with widget blueprint. So I'm just going to call UI underscore, and I'm going to call prompt. Yeah. So from there, I'm going to double click to open it, and I just wanted to get some text. So up on the palette on the top left hand corner, I'm just finding the text element. I'm just going to drop it in. So I'm just going to call press to interact. Now I'm just going to set this anchor to be centered. I'm going to center my text real quickly as well. I'm going to hit compile and close that. So I don't really need to worry about that anymore. So from here, I'll do it in the level blueprint to begin with. So we're going to blueprints, open level blueprint. Apologies, mine just popped up on my other screen. So this is our rotating door that we've got set up at the minute. So at the minute we're kind of checking, is it the first person character? So we can kind of slot it in here. So basically what we want to do is we want to create a widget. It's wanted to be the UI prompt, and then we want to add it to viewport. Oh, sorry, I made a typo there. Add to viewport, and that's what we want to plug in. So from here, if I hit compile, this isn't going to work. It'll make it, but it won't know where to add it. Luckily, it did work. That really shouldn't have worked, because sometimes it needs an own player. So normally what you can do is you can plug in like a get player controller. So what we want to do here is that unfortunately will just appear on screen for the rest of the game. So I could run up to this door, I could open it, I could run through, I could be like 10 minutes further into the gameplay, and this is never going to go away. So what we want to do now is just tell it that we want to remove it. So from here we can drag off and we can say remove from parent, and then we can call this whenever we step out. So this is still going to be wired up exactly the same way that we had it. So still going through to the gate, but now we've added in this remove from parent, and the thing that we're removing is the UI prompt. So now if we hit play and we run forward, step in the box, it appears, step out, it goes away. Okay. Now that works fine, but it's a bit annoying if we have to keep setting this up over and over again. So what we could do is we could set this up inside the player, because if I start dropping in these other blueprints that we have, so these two different versions of the door, and then we've got our sliding door, it's a bit annoying that I would have to blueprint this into every single one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this to the first person character. So if I go into blueprints, character, first person character, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come up here into a bit of empty space. I'm going to add a custom event. I'm going to call it show UI prompt. The show UI prompt is going to do exactly the same thing that I just did inside that level blueprint. So just to make sure it works, we're actually going to get rid of this. And we're going to leave this wired up the same way it was before. Close. So now if we pop back to our first person character, we're going to create a widget. it's going to be UI prompt. We're going to add the viewport. Now you could do this at a toggled, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do another one, another custom event called remove. So custom event, remove UI. And all that's going to do is remove that from the parent. Okay. So now, anytime we're using a door function, you'll notice that we're always casting anyway. So we're always casting to the player. So what we could do is we could just drag off here and we could call show UI prompt, because we're already doing that cast anyway, so we're already communicating with the player. And then whenever we step out, we could go remove. So that's in our BP door rotate. In our level, we can do the same thing. So show UI prompt. Don't forget just to wire it up along the chain, and then we can go remove UI. And then next we need to figure out this one as well. So I've got two rotating doors here. So I've got two different variations of it, but we're just going to wire it up into all the same ones. So shift this over a little bit. Same thing again. Show UI. Make sure it's wired in. And remove UI. So I could have probably streamlined this a little bit, and I could have like checked. I could have done like a toggle on and off, but this will work the same. That's fine. So we've done it for that. We've done it for that. We've done it for that. So the last thing we'll do is, yeah, we've done it inside our level as well. So now, so that one's not getting called. That one's getting called fine. So we need to take a look at the sliding door. That one's in the level. That one's getting called fine. And then that one's getting called fine. So the only one that we need to add it to is the sliding door. So we click on edit BP. Yeah, so I've just not put it in here yet. Show UI. Make sure the target's always set to be the player. Remove UI. So it sits, because it's sitting inside the player, it's quite easy to call from loads of different things. You notice that we're doing stuff inside the level, we're doing stuff inside separate actors and stuff like that. So that's a real easy way of getting that kind of working. So there we go. Okay, so real quickly, just to kind of recap, the first thing that we did was we made that widget blueprint, because obviously we need that before we can do anything else. So I just made UI prompt, just put a little bit of text on it. From there, we need to call it. So I found it easiest just to create a custom event, create the widget, add it to the viewport, and then my other custom event just removes this from the parent. Okay, so the return value of this is UI prompt, and then we're just telling it we want to remove you from the parent. And then we can just wire it up to all the doors in our level. Now, because I've left it so vague, I've left that widget so vague, it's just says like, you know, press to interact. We could hook that up to switches and stuff like that. I didn't do, say, press E to open. You could do that if you wanted to have very specific ones, like per doors and per interactions. But just for this, I've just gone with press E to interact, or just press to interact. I've not even bound it to a key in case I change it down the line. So that's just a real quick example about how you can then start linking your blueprints and these doors and these actors up to UI prompts on screen.